Hey everybody, it's Montblanc. If you're new here, I'm a Gen 2 K-pop veteran who hasn't listened to K-pop in over a decade. I'm back from the grave though, and I'm trying to learn about the new scene, which today means trucking along with my journey and getting to know Treasure. After, let's say, a bumpy start, I actually ended up really enjoying the pieces of the first step that I've seen so far. We're closing out that era's title tracks today, though, and I'm going to be checking out the music video for My Treasure, along with the music show stage from Inkigayo. After that, I want to watch a live performance of from the 2023 REBOOT concert in Seoul, since it's my favorite track from the era so far. Let's just jump into the reaction, shall we? All in all, I would say that this little treasure journey is going pretty well. I think I have a better idea of their fundamentals since I got a broader view of their start, and I'm definitely excited to see how they closed out this first chapter of their career. Okay, so we have My Treasure. It looks like January 11th of 2021. Interesting time. Okay.
지친 하늘빛 해는 잠들고 바람이 불면 다 지나가고 있어 꿈에서 깬 듯 다시 새롭게 It's alright 잘 될 거야 착해 마음이 답답해 숨을 쉴 수가 없잖아 I wanna go back to the good times 한숨만 나와 가볍게 아무 노래나 들어놓고 너와 춤추고 싶어 비가 그치면 밝은 하늘이 우리를 기다리듯 더 좋은 날이 밝아올 거야 겨울 끝에 봄이 와 가는 길 너리는 꽃필 거야 나 보란 듯이 It's gonna be alright Come on
This is very smart. As let's say an end cap to the first opening chapter of their career, it presents something that's completely different than anything else that was in the first step, title track wise. Yeah, and this softer, more boyish, cute side really contrasts against the sort of harder and more not cold, but sharp image that they had previously. It does tell an interesting story because it's almost like you have to have this bombastic, over the top, hard debut where it's almost like posturing in a way, especially a young boy posturing, and then in order to really invite the fans in, you have this softer, calmer, more chill vibe. So as a selection for a title track from this final piece of the first step, I think it's absolutely brilliant. And the music video, I like the sense of weightlessness that exists in the song production and then also in the imagery of the music video. And the coloring is really, really delightful. It's got a softness to it that you don't often see with K-pop from this era, and also especially from what I can tell, boy groups from this era too. So it definitely does stand out as a piece of visual media. Wow, that's cool. The disco elements of this are really refreshing after the harder electronic elements previously. Nice. This is like yet another interesting and like wonderful peek into why I think that K-pop is such a fascinating medium, coming from like a Westerner, observing from the outside. I should say observing from the perspective of my own culture. With Western artists, so often in many quote unquote Western cultures, there's this like posturing and hardness, and like you'll see male artists do the sexy thing or the hard thing, or even when it is like emotionally vulnerable, there's still this like aspect of like avoiding real disclosure, because you can't be seen as like quote unquote weak or soft or feminine, and that doesn't exist in the same way in Korean culture. There is this like freedom for boyishness, for cuteness, for like charm that we don't see a lot in Western media. And so to have K-pop as this like a medium, artistic medium, and to have this sort of like cultural like okayness with a different side, this specific kind of like softer, more approachable and like cutesy kind of image, and like then also have it be like a part of what ideal is, sort of masculine ideal in the culture, is like really fascinating. Yeah, and it just makes you wonder, like if Western artists did stuff like this more, if we had that sort of cultural touchstone for it, what kind of stuff could be created? Because this is like beautiful, and in so many different ways. It's like yes, the softer side of the members, but then also if you're looking at the music video itself, it has a lot of like traditionally feminine elements in it, and yet it works like really, really beautiful. So I don't know, it's impressive as a cultural monument, if you will. Ooh, that's a pretty ending shot. Wow. Okay, this is the Inkigayo performance of it. Yeah, I did look around at a couple of different live performances, but there's something that's like very special and unique about K-pop artists on music shows like this, because of the way that so often their choreography is crafted to consider cameras on these types of stages. Wow, it looks crazy with so many people on stage. Jesus.
It's alright 찾을 거야 어떡해 마음이 답답해 숨을 쉴 수가 없잖아 I wanna go back to the good times 한숨만 나와 가볍게 아무 노래나 틀어놓고 너와 춤추고 싶어 비가 그치면 맑은 하늘 위에 기다리듯 더 좋은 날이 밝아올 거야 겨울 끝에 봄이 와 가는 길 너리는 꽃들
Okay, so like technically this is not there's something in their like dancing ability, the like sharpness and cleanness of their lines that they're creating that kind of reminds me of Infinite back in the day, and they were well known to be some of the best dancers in the entire industry. I would say that the choreography itself obviously isn't on the same level, but just the technical precision, you can tell that they're very there's been a lot of focus placed on their dancing ability, which is seeing in a larger group like this is pretty it's pretty satisfying.
It's gonna be alright. Come on, 걱정은 한 번 더 뜨겁게 웃어줘. 뜨겁게 웃을 때 더 예뻐나 힘을 내 우린 결국 빛날 테니 나만의 눈을 떠. You're the only one treasure. 안 되면 어때? 다시 시작해. 더는 울지 마요. 내일이 올 때 빛나는 존재. You're the only one treasure.
Wow. I really like this breakdown. The umbrella, cool. Simple but nice. Nice. This is exactly what I'm talking about when I say that like choreography is often created or like composed in context of camera angles. So like here they have this long corridor that's made by these members, and like so much of like large group choreography kind of has to be staging architecture, and it's interesting to me because it feels like YG didn't put any money behind this. You know, when you've been a consumer of K-pop for so long, you can definitely tell like when stagings are a priority for a company versus when they're not, and this is not. The only prop that they've had is that umbrella, and yet whoever their choreographer is like really looking out for them in this kind of way, in the way that they're building the staging architecture with the members themselves. So that's very impressive.
Never give up.
That's cute. Very smart. The like finger diamond thing is so cool. It's like just a really simple tweak on something that we all know, and then it just like becomes instantly recognizable. It's so cool. That's very, very cool. Also, I do kind of wonder if you know, I would love to know in the comments down below, which like which part of their concert or live performance would this song have slotted into? Because it seems maybe like a late, mid to late, somewhere in that area in terms of the set list for concerts. It has this sort of like uplifting and also like recharging energy, which I think is kind of primed for that position, depending on how long the shows are. Like, the boys and also the fans themselves get like fatigued in a way, and songs like this, performances like this, are a great way to sort of like rebuild that energy again. That's idol training. Okay, so specifically this is the rock version, and I am actually very curious to experience this because one of the things I liked the most about was the production and the approach that they took to the ways in which the electronic sounds were used in that, especially as it compares to the rapping that exists in that track as well. So to see the rock version, I feel like would give like a really interesting, wildly different experience, in addition to being able to see what kind of like live stage performers they are. Wow. Impressive crowd.
Let's go. What up? Ah, yeah. Hey, yeah. Let me treasure you. Go. 깜짝이야. 너를 보면 내 빛 벌어져 활짝. 눈부신 빛에 눈이 멀어 내 발짝. 더 네 생각을 하고 있지 매일 밤. 천국의 향기 맡아 날아올라. 모든 게 완벽한 오늘이 바로 내 소원의 비밀을 만들어 자연스레는 너희들 아는 이 저가 사실대로 떨리게 날 원하게 만들어 너만 보면 놀라간 달래 나의 곁으로 어디든 달려가 그래 나야 영원히 필요 없잖아 내 손잡아.
Wow, this is such a really cool production choice. I like it. Wow. Very smart from a stage production standpoint. If they knew that they were going to pursue like the rock version for this, then like incorporating the pyrotechnics like this gives it like this really nice hard edge, which is very satisfying to see. Also, something that I really love is that they're dealing with a much larger stage here as compared to like music show staging. And so like in the beginning, we saw them dividing the group. It is a very smart way to pull focus, not only on the performers that you want the eyes to go to, but then also just like as a small frame or like individual image or still from a concert series like this, you get to expose each member in a way that can kind of get lost in like larger group shots. Damn, that's a huge crowd. Not that shirt lifting choreo. Wow. Wow. Dang. It's such a large group that a stage of that size and like an audience of that energy really makes the entire like live performance aspect here like incredibly engaging and rewarding. And it's just like I feel like YG really fucked up. They often do. They often do. And I feel like the biggest problem in YG is them like not actually being in their artists' corners unless they are the center of the world for them. And there's only ever like 2 or 3 artists, period, not even groups, that like capture YG's attention, and then all of the company resources go behind them. And everybody else is just kind of like chucked to the side. Which is not true for everybody in that company. And like, especially like when Teddy was doing the in-house production for them, like he would also not have his favorites, but like you could tell that he had his own like strong working relationship with different artists that were not the ones that YG himself chose. And like they would get really interesting and cool, especially musical projects. Well, whether or not like money was put behind it is a completely different story. But I guess that's politics in the big 3 for you. Yeah, I think that is still my favorite that I've seen from this era. Of course, you know, this is not me checking out any sort of B-side material or even like pre-release secondary tracks, whatever. So actually, if you have some favorites from this first step era that you think that I should check out that are some B-sides, then go ahead and let me know in the comments down below, because I think that would be a really interesting end cap to the like era, if you will. So seeing the title tracks and then also being able to check out some of the other sides of what was presented as part of this like complete package of their quote unquote debut. It's still really early in this treasure journey, so like, you know, I can see through lines and sort of like how we end up getting to where we are in the current era with treasure. But I have to say, it still is, looking at this group in this stage with those audiences and this amount of resources put behind them, not for the Inkigayo stage, obviously. But it's a very like stark contrast, and knowing the little bit that I do of their journey over time, it makes sense why but there's still many pieces to be filled in. So yeah, I think this was a really good one. I especially really liked that concert performance. I think that it was really interesting creative direction that they took for the entire package, and also seeing a larger group like this on a huge stage like that, so rewarding. So rewarding. Okay, that's going to be it for today's video, and of course, I hope that you join me as I continue my little journey with Treasure to see how we get from point A to point now. And of course, when I do continue that, I'll put those videos into my treasure reaction playlist, which I'll link here and also in the video description down below. Like I said, I would love to know some of those B-side recommendations from this first era. And actually, if you have like any memories that are tied to this beginning era of their career, I'd love to hear that kind of stuff too, because that's the most rewarding part about being a fan. It's like the way that music ties into memory. Um, yeah, I guess that's going to be it for me today. Thanks so much for joining me on this one, and hopefully I see you in the next treasure one. If not, I'll see you somewhere else. Bye.